There you go.
All right. Well, I want to welcome today to soulmusic.com the gentleman who we were just talking about how long we've known each other, which is a long time,
Yeah, man.
relatively speaking. And Eric, so I want to talk to you about a few things. Particularly, I'm interested in. We will talk about your latest album, but I also want to talk to you about something I was thinking about before I got here, which is, when you look at your career, you look at had 9 album releases, and probably missing. I know you have one that came out in Japan.
Yeah.
Right. So I've included that in the 9.
Yeah.
When you get to this point in your career, and having done that, when you look to like what's next, what do you think of? Like, well, what do I do now? Do you have those thoughts? Or maybe you don't. I don't know.
No, it's kind of strange. I really always, up until about a few years ago, the answer to that question was always, I think, I'll just go make another album.
Yeah.
And I'll do it again because it's kind of working out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though the industry has been going through all kinds of changes and cycles, but a few years ago, I don't know, I kind of got the thought that just to put out an album, I think I want to try something different this time, or at least stretch my creative muscle in another area. So I started still making music, still writing songs, but I've started to entertain the idea of film and producing film and writing stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to make music,
Yeah.
but I think I want to do it as an attachment to some other project. Yeah.
So my question's kind of timely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think everybody, everyone, but many artists kind of get to a certain point where they feel like they've not plateaued, but there's like, well, how else can I expand?
Yeah.
And if you
Plateaued's a good word.
well, okay, well, I would rather you use it than me. So okay, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So
but,
it's like I've been doing kind of sort of the same thing for like a while, and I mean, even if you listen to, you listen to my current album, and I'm grateful that people really love it, and they also loved what I did when I first started on my solo project, and it's kind of the same thing. It's an evolution of the same thing, I guess, but I've always been like, okay, let's get some live instruments, let's get some horns, let's get some strings, and let's sing from the soul, and let's be vulnerable when we write our lyrics, and I like to think that I've gotten a little better at it over the years, but it's kind of like my thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in
Expanding. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Actually, I'm kind of curious why you haven't done it before. Thinking about it.
You know what? That's a great question, because I was once I started getting into it, and the process of writing a story and collaborating with people, and the narrative and the plot lines and all that stuff. I asked myself the same question.
Really?
I was like, man, why haven't I been doing this like all along? Maybe I should have, or
well,
maybe
it was the time was the time.
That's right. The time.
You do things when it's the right time to do it.
That's right.
And that's it. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you as a kind of adjacent question, you could say, when you look at what you've already produced in terms of like 9 albums, do you consider any of them to have been like your career album? Do you know what I mean by that? And you probably know what I mean by that. But when you think about certain artists, if you go like Marvin Gaye, you can say What's Going On is a career album. Stevie Wonder, well, you wouldn't know which one to pick because there's about 3 of them.
Everyone is
and
a
most
career
people
album,
have, at least 1 or 2 that they can say, well, that's the one.
Yeah.
Do you think you've done that yet?
I think I don't know. The obvious answer to that, I think, would be probably the album that gave me the most worldwide recognition would be A Day in the Life.
Yeah. Okay.
and I'm proud of that record.
Yeah. You know? It's still my favorite.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, yeah, because it's the first interview we did was about that record, so it's always been like, and there's so many songs on there that still valid to resonate.
Exactly. If I listen to that album today, I mean, there's still some stuff on there that if you you played it on the radio,
it would just be as So when you came to the post, now one thing I want to talk to you about before we talk about content of this particular album is I know that you've had your own record company, record label for like 6 or 7 years now. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about that, about the process of being your own, the master of your own creative destiny in terms of owning your music and setting that up? Just say a little, because I know there's a lot of artists who probably have started to do that, haven't done it, and think about doing it, and then many people as independent artists have to do that. There's no real structures anymore. So you should say a little bit about that whole process.
I think now it's a whole lot, now being today, it's a whole lot more common than maybe it was like 7 or 8 years ago.
Absolutely.
Because as you said, the basic structure is kind of in a state of disarray or falling apart, and so I think it's but 6 or 7 years ago, it was kind of a blessing and a curse, because the blessing was obviously complete autonomy and control. I didn't have to get any approval for anything, and I didn't have to wait until the label gave me the okay for the first single or the artwork or how are we going to market this. And, all of a sudden, that was me. It was me making those decisions. But then
that's the plus.
That's the plus.
What's the that's the pro. What was the con?
Me has got to pay for it.
Well, yeah. Yes.
So
I know that one.
Yeah, you know that one.
Yeah.
So it's all of a sudden you find yourself missing that big, huge corporate machine.
Yes. Yes.
But not really, not much, because at the end of the day, I own the masters. I own my music outright, and I'm making my decisions, and that's always the best way to go.
Yeah. So you don't regret it, and it has
absolutely not.
And do you find with each successive project, it's more rewarding that you've done that, and that this is your?
I think so. I think I've found that I'm not only able to, sustain my way of life and my living, but I'm also, but I'm also growing in my ownership of my content. So So that's always good. Yeah.
Now, I think the last time we talked, you were thinking about having some other artists to expand your label. You
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did, and that was an incredibly enjoyable experience. We signed Gawapale, who is amazing, incredible artist, and we signed the soulful Calvin Richardson. And going back to the con of the pros and cons of our last discussion, it's like, wow. So all of a sudden, it made me think when I was starting off at Warner Brothers, I was always so angry at the record label because why is this all I get for my budget? Is this? And then all of a sudden, I was that guy.
I want to use a phrase, but I can't use the whole phrase. It's on video, so I'll just say karma is a.
Yeah, it is, and then some.
Fill in the.
And then
blank.
some.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I don't mean that it kind of sounds a bit blatant, but I mean it kind of is. That's how it is. I mean, when you're the boss, you have to deal with. It's not quite the same as when somebody else was the boss.
Right. More money, more problems, and it's like.
Okay.
I
gotcha.
So I mean, it was a great experience, and we managed to release some amazing music, and it just made a lot more sense for me to concentrate on my projects and my music.
So let's talk about that. And so this album is self-titled.
Yeah.
And I have some favorites.
I would love to know what your
well, that's okay. So this is going to be good because you and I know each other,
yeah.
and we've done many
gotta,
conversations like this. So,
you
so I'm going to ask you to
ear.
guess. I'm going to ask you to guess if you can name the first two. I have about four, but see if you can guess two of them.
I think I can name
Let's
two.
See. Go on then. Let's see. That's interesting.
First, Fun and Games has got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. That's
and
good.
Then,
that's good, Eric.
Cold Trigger's got to be in there.
No.
No. Wow.
No. But I'm not. I didn't like it, but that's not.
Oh, Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, that's not my actual favorite.
What is your actual
my
favorite?
My actual favorite is Never Be the Same.
Wow, that's dope.
Didn't expect that, did you?
I did not expect that, and I love that.
Well, yeah, I can tell. I can listen to it, and I can tell that.
Yeah. I mean, I love the song, but I love that you...
You love that I love it?
You picked that as your...
Well, yeah, I just think that the lyricism, I mean, listen to the lyrics, the delivery of it, the vocal performance. If I look at like all the different things that made it the one that I would find myself playing over and over, it would definitely be that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's very cinematic,
Well, that's true. It is true, actually. That's
And
that is, isn't it?
That song came, on the album, The One.
Yes.
On the album The One, I wrote my wife and I actually wrote a lullaby for Lucia, our 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we have a brand new little bundle of joy, Luna.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, it would really suck if I was like the younger sibling and daddy wrote
a song for one and not the other.
Like, what about me?
Well,
I don't deserve a damn song.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I was actually I'm thinking about it. I don't know why I didn't include it in the track, but I was actually putting Luna to sleep one night.
Yeah.
And that song just came to me, and I started singing it to her. And so that I wouldn't forget the melody, because as songwriters.
Sorry, everybody. We are in London, and there's fire engines and things.
Oh, that's a London thing.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I thought New York had that.
No, we all have it.
No, but I was thinking I better grab my phone and record this melody.
Absolutely.
And so I have this recording somewhere of Luna. She's probably like 2 months old, like crying, calming down as she's crying, and I'm singing, coming up with Never Be the Same.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. So that and the other one, which you didn't, they're Fun and Games, definitely. And the other one, so you didn't guess the other one. Okay.
Okay, I'll take one more shot.
All right, go on then.
Okay.
Go on.
I said Sunshine.
You did.
Okay, so let's say Floating Through
Yes,
Time.
yes, very good, Eric. You got it. Yeah. Now, why do you think those are the ones that I would kind of resonate with?
Well, I think
not that you're interviewing me, but I'm kind of curious.
No, I mean, I think your taste in music is very well rounded.
Okay.
And I think each one of those songs kind of represent kind of the spectrum of the album.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
What did we say? We said Fun and Games.
Fun and Games.
Fun and Games is very Fun and Games
Sunshine.
is very old school, completely like, I don't know, SOS band meets
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yes.
it's very old school, like 70s ballad.
Yes.
And then
very much. Yeah.
Floating Through Time is almost a little ethereal, contemporary kind of vibe. And then Sunshine is kind of like, I don't know, that's just kind of like classic Eric Benet.
Yeah, it is. No, it really is. Yeah. Well, the thing,
using my name, myself in third person.
He can do that. Floating Through Time. So I'm curious about that. I mean, what was the inspiration for that? Because it is quite different.
Yeah.
And I really just was just like, this is the kind of music I like to listen to now more than I used to when I was growing up.
It was interesting. That was one of those songs that I wanted, even before I started writing it with Jairus and DeMonte. I wanted a song that felt like intimacy.
Yeah, well, it does.
Yeah, thank you.
Really
I wanted a song that felt like two very in-tuned, in love lustful, loving, passionate people in a bubble.
Wow.
You know.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted to create that vibe inside that bubble.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. That's good. That's a very vivid description. Yeah. You should be good at being able to write plays.
Well, there we go.
There you go. That was good. That was good. Maybe you should have my job.
We can switch.
Well, hey, I don't know, but no, really, that's great. And so I want to ask you a couple of things I want to specifically touch upon. So firstly, as a project, as a complete project, what are your thoughts about it as an album?
I love it. I really love this album because it's just so creatively it was very spontaneous.
Okay.
Right? You know, it's like I didn't say, okay, I want to make a themed album about this. I was you know, I was just like, I just want to get some cats together and I know some really incredible cats in LA that are just amazing musicians.
Yeah.
And, you know, let's just like post up in the studio for a few days and just
create.
Just start playing a lick and then just start. That's very much how Sunshine, the song, came about. We spent like a few days just like woodshedding and just creatively coming up with whatever we could come up with, and we were done for the day and everybody was packing up and going. And Jairus, who's a phenomenal guitar player, who Prince actually he used to play for Prince when he was in high school.
Wow.
So Prince would actually send the limo to his high school to pick him up for gigs, which is crazy.
Amazing.
But Jairus was like in the corner, like still like noodling, and then he was basically playing Sunshine.
Yeah.
The riff that you hear in the beginning of the song, and he was about to pack it up, and I was like, hold up. Actually, I sounded very much like that siren. I was like, hang on, wait. I was just like, look, keep doing that. So he just kept that thing going, and I told everybody to, come on, we gotta fall in
and do it.
Let's get that bass out the case, and So.
And then you did a second version. Well, you also have a version with Tamia.
Yeah. Yeah, that was completely DeMonte's idea, which I thought was incredible. Well, my idea was to put Tamia on it, which was very much like what happened with Spend My Life. Like DeMonte and George and I, we came up with the song Spend My Life, and I had demoed the song. Completely with me, but I was like, no, you know what? There's this girl, Tamia. So anyway, but the remix for Sunshine was I came into the studio one day and DeMonte just played this interpolation-y kind of version of Mtume's You, Me, and He.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is brilliant. But you know what? We gotta get Tamia on it. And, and it worked. So that's how she loved the idea. So
I've got a couple more things to ask you. I know you recently went to Cuba and did a track.
What an amazing experience!
What was it like?
Man, that was incredible. I mean, Cuba was always one of those places that I wanted to visit and experience, and had just never happened partly for some of the political reasons, but I mean, there were ways to work around that, but I had just yet to get to it.
Right.
But fortunately, Ray Chu and his wife had this incredible concept for cross-cultural Cuban American music projects, Two Beats, One Soul, and basically took some American artists, John B, myself, who else, Toya?
A guy called Josh Millen.
Josh Millen, and
is India? She didn't make it. Yeah, Louis Vega. Yeah. So we basically literally packed up and went to Cuba and made this music and immersed ourselves in as much as we could in a week.
Yeah.
Of the culture and the musicians and the people, and it was just beautiful, man. It was kind of bittersweet in a way. You know, a lot of the people that we spoke to and worked to that were that lived there, they would very much have loved to hop on a plane and just go see a lot of places, the rest of the world, and it's just not easy for them. And it was especially heartbreaking when I would go into just like some random bar in Old Havana, that a bar that was maybe the size of a little bit larger than my living room, and on the stage would be probably the most incredible musicians that you've ever heard doing salsa or merengue, and then at the end of the set they kind of walk around with a hat, for pay.
Pesos. Yeah.
So that was kind of heartbreaking, knowing that, man, if you had that visa, man, and you were traveling the world right now, each one of you guys would be millionaires right now. You're like incredibly, and so often they would do these performances with no mic, which was, I'm like, what is that? How are you doing? Like my wimp, like if I try to breathe and drink water and do all this stuff so that I can make it through a show with a microphone, but he's standing there with no mic, no PA,
and just
projecting past the horns, past the timbales, past the drums and everything else, and you hear, and it was just it's just incredible experience.
Okay. Two more things to ask you. Firstly, you just mentioned Cuba, and I know that you obviously here in the UK.
Yeah.
And how important for you is making sure that you have an international career? I mean, it's not true for all of your peers. Everyone doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Some people have it more or less. Some people have it a lot less. So what did you at some point make a decision or decide as a career, as part of your career path, I want to make sure that I have an international following, or is it just kind of just evolved?
Well, it's funny that a lot of people. I really believe in manifesting what you envision and what you put energy in.
Yes.
And
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I was 15, just like singing, and I had these dreams of being a recording artist. Like, my dream was never so much attached to wealth and money. My dream was just, I want to make music and travel the world.
Wow.
So so from the beginning, that was like when I first got my deal at Warner Brothers. I was one of those artists, and huge record companies, they have a pecking order and a priority list of artists that they want to give certain attentions and priorities to.
Absolutely.
But I was relentlessly in the international department at Warner Brothers, like being that annoying gnat that won't go away.
But they loved you.
Yeah, and they're like, all right. So, I think I was fortunate that they agreed.
Relented.
And they, for that first album, which a lot of people aren't even really all that hip to. True. My first album, True to Myself. I was. I think I came here, and I came to Japan, and so the foundation was
laid back then.
Was laid, so it was always very important.
Yeah. I've got one more question, kind of relates to what I asked you at the very beginning, which is I was thinking about, on my way here, I was thinking about your contemporaries, your peers, and I had this realization, which is probably something you've had more than before I did. I had this realization about something.
What's that?
Which is that, that there's a kind of, it feels like there's like a ceiling for just to be blunt about it,
Yeah.
for black male
Yeah.
entertainers in the U.S.,
Mhm.
like they can't get beyond a certain point. And while I was reflecting on it, as I was remembering, because back in, as I was doing my work for Blues and Soul and Billboard back in the 80s in particular, I was neighbors actually originally with Luther Vandross, actually in the 70s. And I remember his biggest frustration
Yeah.
was, I can only get so far and I just can't get
Yeah.
beyond the ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't think he called it a glass ceiling, he had other words for it. But anyway,
Right.
the point being, it's some kind of ceiling. Do you think is that still there? Is that, do you even think about that? Does it even bother you, or you don't even really?
Well, it's definitely there. It's definitely still there. It's definitely, there's I don't know if I want to. Yeah, I guess there is kind of a racial. Racist
Well,
might be an extreme word, but it's a racial preference. Look, if I was, if I did what I did the way that I do it, and I just happened to be white,
a different complexion,
and a different complexion,
it might have gone differently.
I might own this entire city at this point.
I mean, it's valid, and one of the things I was thinking about, well, who has actually really cracked that? And there's only one person. I mean, there are people from the 70s in particular, like Stevie Wonder, obviously. Yeah. And the only other person I could think of,
Prince.
well, obviously, and the only other person I could think of who's kind of thought more as a singer-songwriter and not so much as a musician is Lionel Richie. I can't think of anybody else who's ever actually cracked the. And even he now, he toured the world, but in terms of his record sales in the U.S., he's kind of like, I'm gonna be polite to Lionel, but he's kind of like not in the current thinking, so to speak.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting.
It is true, and it's real, and we still live in a world. I think that my skin color and your skin color makes a difference, which after all we've been through as humanity is just
kind of take us back to Never Be the Same.
Yeah.
The lyrics.
There
I was remembering the lyrics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a great way to circle back.
Bring it all around.
Well, Eric, it's always, I know that.
It's always good seeing you.
And I don't know, you and I could talk for hours, which would be great for you and I, but probably not for the people listening to soulmusic.com. Maybe it would. But anyway, just really want to thank you for your time today. I know you're here in London for a short time, and it's really great to see you, have a conversation with you, and just everyone who's listening. We will make sure that you know how to buy Eric's album, because people actually buy records still.
It's still a
thing. They download. Everything doesn't have to be free.
Streaming,
whatever you want to do. All right, Eric, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Hey man, always a pleasure.